Courtney, where are you ranking DJ Moore among the wide receivers in the league right now? Do you feel like he's one of those top dogs? We kind of went through the list a little bit, and it feels like he kind of settles in around 15, 20. Is DJ Moore a top wide receiver in this NFL?
I think you put him in a perfect spot because the last couple of years, I know like his yards last year were down just by his standards. Like in 2021, he finished 11th in receiving yards, and he's had, 3 of those 1,100 yard seasons. And last year he had a career high 7 touchdowns. I think the perfect spot for DJ Moore. Like he's not a Justin Jefferson. He's not a Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, AJ Brown, even put in like Diggs in there, but everybody's list outside of the top 5, from like 6 to 15 and then to 20, I think is subjective. We all know who the best receivers are, like the cream of the crop. These guys are, the $100 million receivers. And then there's like the group beyond that. He's in that group beyond that, but he's absolutely like, if you put him like on par with, I'm just looking through the list right now, like a Devontae Smith, a Terry McLaurin, an Amon St. Brown, like Amari Cooper, like I would put him, very much at the top of the list of those guys. And it's, to me, what the like deciding factor is, he's done so much with so many different quarterbacks.
Yes.
And, that's huge. Like that, you cannot overstate that enough, because a lot of that has to do with coaching. I remember talking with Tyke Tolbert about that during rookie minicamp, how, DJ was still able to produce with like 8 different quarterbacks throwing him the ball over the course of, his time in Carolina. And sometimes that's coaching saying, hey, we're going to get the ball to DJ because he can do, he can win his one-on-one matchup. He can win on the outside. He can win wherever you put him. And that's a sign of somebody who, no matter the situation, he's not just going to like crumble because things aren't perfect for him. Like he can find a way to win against his guy. And that's important. Now, DJ Moore in this offense is very clearly the number one, very clearly the best pass catching threat for Justin Fields. It's how others are going to be able to take, like DJ Moore's going to get doubled. Like we know it's going to happen. That's always what happens when you have really good receivers. Can the other guys take some of the pressure off DJ Moore so he's able to, win those matchups and win them on a consistent basis for Justin Fields? But when you think about like, where does he rank in these lists? I mean, his numbers have always been consistently good. He's not had a bad season. Like were his yards down because they weren't over 1,000 last year? Statistically, yes, but that doesn't really say much to me outside of the fact that they had Baker Mayfield, they had Sam Darnold. I think PJ Walker was playing in the game last year. Like there's no consistency. So imagine what happens for him when he actually has a quarterback that he knows is going to be not going into a camp with a quarterback competition. He's going in knowing this is the guy. This is a guy who's going to be, I can like consistently work with throughout the offseason, because I know come July and August, I'm going to be able to pick up right where I left off before they take that time off. And it's important to know for Justin Fields that it's the crux of why they pulled off that number 1 pick. The trade for number 1 pick. They needed to get him a number 1 receiver, and that was the way to do it. And DJ Moore is very much that. Everybody's list will be subjective. In my list, I put him right there, top 15, top 20. I think it's a perfect spot for him.
How much can he move up with that consistent quarterback play this season? How much do you expect him to move up that list? Do you think he kind of stays right there?
If top 10, I think, if you have a good season, he could very well fit into the mix of guys that you are looking at saying, hey, like you get him consistency at the quarterback spot. Look how well he can produce. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and guess his yards, because the Bears had a receiving room that netted 493 yards from their wide receiver leader last year. And the guy missed the last couple games this season with an ankle injury. So the bar is very low. But like someone like DJ Moore instantly elevates that group, and that's the reason they brought him here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for me, right? Like it's the point you brought up and that I mentioned even on the defensive side, right? What do the others do to make guys that blue chip piece? Chase Claypool, I'm looking right at you, bud. You know what I mean? Like, because the things for me are with Darnell Mooney, My question mark with Darnell is, right, is he going to be the guy that's going to be kept if him and Chase have similar seasons? They're probably going to lean towards Claypool because they've sent the draft capital in him to re-sign.
Sure.
So who's going to be the guy next season or throughout this season that proves, hey, I'm supposed to be here next season? I'm hoping that competition elevates everything. But realistically, right, you just need somebody else to step up here. I will say, I think that Cole Kmet being here, Khalil Herbert, and Deontay Foreman, okay pass catchers out of the backfield. Roshan Johnson, we'll see what he is in the league.
Don't forget about Robert Tonyan. That was his role. I'm going to say this right here. Like, I think he and Cole are switching roles this year. I think Cole's going to be used more as predominantly more as a blocking tight end. I think that obviously Getsy knows what Tonyan can do. And even coming off the ACL, like, to me, the bounce back he had and how seamless it felt like for him last season, the depth, the depth per target, the yards per catch, like, he is the deep threat that, like, you might not expect from a tight end not named Travis Kelce. So I would imagine, just kind of given the way that this thing goes, I would not be at all surprised, and I will predict it right here on the show, that those two are going to switch roles this year, and that you do have a deep, a threat at the tight end position that you thought maybe Cole Kmet could be, but I just think that that's going to be Robert Tonyan's role, and he's going to excel in it really well. So it's not just the receiving core that we're talking about for Justin Fields. It's the the tight end that they just signed for a bargain in free agency.
Could we see a situation here where, right, like maybe the receiver room isn't the room that we're talking about by the end of the season, very much like what the Patriots had, where you're talking about two tight ends who are both your predominant pass catchers outside of DJ Moore?
It could be. I don't think that that's necessarily, I mean, this offense is predicated on, frequent two tight end usage, but I don't know. You have to get more out of Chase Claypool. You have to get Darnell Mooney back to, like, put him in the slot, let him thrive. Like, I think that there will be, if it works out that way, there will be one predominant tight end pass catcher. I'm not saying that Cole's never going to catch a pass again. Of course not. But, who's going to be the tight end security blanket in the red zone for Justin Fields, the way that Jimmy Graham was a couple years ago? Like, that was supposed to be Cole Kmet last year. It really wasn't. And now, I mean, of course, like, about halfway through the season that started to pick up, but then it fell back off again. So can Robert Tonyan be that guy? Is there somebody else who's going to emerge as the red zone threat for Fields? Like, those are all the important questions that have to get answered. And before we figure out, okay, well, this receiver is in this role and he's, this important, holds this much importance to the offense, or it's this tight end, or we start using two tight ends. Like, all those things matter, but can we carve out who's actually going to be, like, the biggest threat for Justin Fields inside the 20?